In September 2025, Egypt began establishing its first permanent military base in Somalia, a move that instantly changed the Horn of Africa's power dynamics. For decades, Egypt's military reach had been limited to North Africa and the Mediterranean, but this bold step marked a dramatic expansion of its influence deep into the heart of East Africa. This isn't just another deployment. It's Egypt's first direct military foothold in the region, signaling a bold new strategy. The arrival of Egyptian troops and hardware in Somalia sent a clear message to both allies and adversaries. Cairo is ready to play a more assertive role in regional affairs. The base follows a defense pact with Somalia, allowing Egyptian troops on Somali soil and marking a shift from distant diplomacy to direct intervention. This agreement not only strengthens military ties, but also deepens political cooperation between the two nations. Egypt's presence puts it within striking distance of its main rival, Ethiopia, and introduces a powerful new player into an already crowded arena. The implications are vast, from counter-terrorism operations and intelligence sharing to influencing trade routes and regional security calculations. It also impacts the balance of Gulf state rivalries, as Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar all have stakes in the Horn of Africa's future. Egypt's move could shift alliances and reshape the region's diplomatic landscape. Egypt's move is about more than just military might. It's a calculated play for influence, resources, and long-term security, in a region where competition is fierce and alliances are constantly shifting. At its core, this is about water, security, and ambition. Egypt's very survival is tied to the Nile, and any threat to its flow is seen as an existential risk. Egypt's existential fears over the Nile and Ethiopia's dam have only grown as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam nears completion, threatening to alter the river's flow and Egypt's access to vital water resources. These mounting concerns have pushed Cairo to seek leverage beyond diplomacy, turning to military options to safeguard its interests and send a warning to its rivals. The Somali base is the clearest sign yet that Egypt is willing to gamble big to protect its interests, even if it means raising the stakes in an already volatile region. Whether this bold gambit secures Egypt's future or ignites a wider conflict remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the Horn of Africa will never be the same. Egypt's obsession with the Nile is centuries old. Over 90% of its water comes from the river, making its flow a matter of survival. Ethiopia's construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, upended this status quo, fueling Egyptian fears of water shortages. Years of failed negotiations have left Egypt frustrated, as Ethiopia resists any deal that limits its control over the Blue Nile. With the GERD now operational, Cairo's warnings have grown sharper, hinting that military options are on the table. Unable to pressure Ethiopia directly, Egypt is now using Somalia as a strategic outpost to threaten Ethiopia's eastern flank. The new base is a warning. The Nile dispute is no longer just about water, it's a militarized standoff with regional consequences. The risk of miscalculation and conflict has never been higher. Somalia's geography makes it a prize. Its long strategic coastline controls access to both the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, two arteries vital for global trade and maritime commerce. Whoever holds sway here can influence the movement of goods between Europe, Asia, and Africa. This is especially important for Egypt, whose economic lifeline is the Suez Canal. The canal's connection to the Indian Ocean means that what happens off Somalia's shores can directly impact Egypt's trade and security. By establishing a military base in Somalia, Egypt gains a front-row seat to these crucial shipping lanes, allowing it to monitor and potentially protect its interests far beyond its own borders. The base also provides Egypt with a direct line to Ethiopia's border, a region fraught with tension and competition for influence. But this isn't just about keeping an eye on Ethiopia. It's about building intelligence networks, training Somali forces, and gaining leverage in the ever-shifting power dynamics of the Horn of Africa. For Somalia, Egypt's support is a crucial counterweight to Ethiopia, especially after Ethiopia's controversial port deal with Somaliland, which threatened to sideline Mogadishu. The alliance brings Somalia not only advanced training and equipment, but also international backing, boosting its confidence and strengthening its hand against regional rivals. By inviting Egypt in, Somalia diversifies its foreign partnerships, reducing its dependence on any single power and opening doors to new diplomatic opportunities. This move helps Mogadishu balance the competing interests of Turkey, the UAE, and Qatar, allowing Somalia to reclaim some agency and negotiate from a position of greater strength. The Egyptian base is more than just a military outpost. It's a powerful tool for both countries to reshape their regional roles, project influence, and secure their futures in a volatile region. In a landscape crowded with foreign interests and shifting alliances, this partnership could redefine the rules of the game, setting the stage for a new era of power and influence in the Horn of Africa. Ethiopia sees Egypt's new military base as a direct threat, sharply escalating the already tense Nile dispute and raising fears of a broader confrontation. Addis Ababa views this move as a challenge to its sovereignty and a signal that Egypt is willing to project power deep into the Horn of Africa. In response, Ethiopia is doubling down on its own military alliances, especially with Somaliland, seeking to secure its borders and counterbalance Egypt's growing influence in the region. Turkey, Somalia's main security partner for over a decade, now faces a new rival for influence. Ankara has invested heavily in training Somali forces and building infrastructure, but Egypt's arrival could undermine its position. This complicates Turkey's decade-long investment in Mogadishu, forcing it to reconsider its strategy and possibly deepen its involvement to protect its interests. The UAE, with significant economic and security interests in both Somaliland and Puntland, is watching closely. Abu Dhabi must now weigh whether Egypt's presence will help advance its own regional ambitions or instead create new obstacles and rivalries that could threaten its investments. Eritrea, long at odds with Ethiopia, may quietly welcome any move that puts pressure on Addis Ababa, even if it means more foreign troops in the neighborhood. Meanwhile, Djibouti, home to several international military bases, worries that rising tensions could threaten its status as the region's main security and logistics hub. Inside Somalia, the reaction is far from unified. Regional states like Jubaland and Southwest State, which share borders and close ties with Ethiopia, openly oppose the Egyptian deployment, fearing it could destabilize their own territories. The arrival of Egyptian troops risks deepening Somalia's internal divisions, fueling political infighting and clan rivalries that have long plagued the country. As external rivalries play out on Somali soil, ordinary Somalis worry about the impact on their daily lives and the future of their fragile state. Every regional player is recalibrating their strategies, holding urgent talks and reassessing alliances, unsure whether Egypt's bold move will ultimately stabilize the Horn of Africa or plunge it into deeper turmoil. The stakes have never been higher for the region's fragile balance, as the world watches to see what happens next. Egypt's Somali base is a new pressure point on Ethiopia, shifting from distant threats to direct leverage. With troops on Ethiopia's doorstep, Egypt can gather intelligence, support Somali forces, and force Ethiopia to divert resources eastward. The base also secures Egypt's role in the Horn's security architecture, giving it a say in Red Sea affairs and global shipping routes. Egypt's defense pact with Somalia builds a coalition to counter Ethiopia and could draw in other wary neighbors like Eritrea. By joining the African Union's awesome mission, Egypt gains legitimacy as a regional security player. Domestically, the base reassures Egyptians that their government is taking action to protect the Nile. It's a show of strength meant to rally national pride and signal that Egypt won't back down on its water rights. But this bold move comes with risks, both at home and across the region. For Somalia, hosting Egypt's base is a double-edged sword. Potential security gains come with serious risks. By siding with Egypt, Mogadishu risks Ethiopian retaliation, including support for Somaliland or Somali factions opposed to the central government. The crowded field of foreign militaries, Turkey, UAE, Qatar, and now Egypt, makes for a volatile mix. Missteps could trigger open competition among foreign backers, threatening Somalia's fragile stability. Internally, not all Somali regions support the Egyptian alliance, raising the risk of political gridlock or even conflict. The government must ensure Egypt's presence strengthens, not undermines, Somali institutions. Somalia's challenge: gain security without becoming a pawn in a larger regional game. Egypt's arrival in Somalia complicates the fight against Al-Shabaab, as tensions with Ethiopia could undermine joint operations. Distrust between Egyptian and Ethiopian troops risks creating security gaps that Al-Shabaab can exploit. The militants will use the foreign presence as propaganda, undermining the Somali government's legitimacy. Meanwhile, the risk of a proxy war grows. Ethiopia could back Somaliland or Somali factions, splintering the country along pro-Egypt and pro-Ethiopia lines. Somalia, already fragile, could become the main casualty of this regional rivalry. A surge in arms, political infighting, and renewed violence would reverse years of hard-won progress. The humanitarian crisis would deepen and the dream of a stable Somalia could slip away. The Nile dispute, fought on Somali soil, threatens to plunge the country back into chaos. Egypt's Somali base is a game-changer, challenging Ethiopia's rise and creating a new axis of competition in the Horn. Every regional player must now navigate between two powerful rivals, Egypt and Ethiopia, reshaping alliances and strategies. Somalia has thrown its lot in with Egypt, while Eritrea and others weigh their options. Turkey and the UAE must now factor Egypt's military presence into their own plans for the region. The new balance could deter direct conflict, but more likely, it raises the risk of dangerous miscalculations. Rival militaries operating in fragile Somalia create flashpoints that could spiral out of control. Egypt's gamble has internationalized the Nile dispute, turning Somalia into a critical arena for global competition. The region's future now hangs in the balance, shaped by the choices of leaders in Cairo, Addis Ababa, and Mogadishu.